the live stream. I guess we're going to call this pandemic style, pandemic version, since I know you guys are out there dealing with a lot right now. And definitely my goal has been to sort of help how I can and, sort of do everything, that we can. Today we do have a special guest joining. So I'm going to go ahead and bring him onto the screen in a second right here. Calvin Hill from The Simple Driver. How are you doing? You are now on camera.
All right. Good deal.
And if
All
you're if
right.
you're if you're watching live yourself, Calvin, there's a little bit of a delay from the chat and the
Oh,
live stream, but
okay.
rest assured they are looking at both of our faces right now, and it'll show up any second. I know we had 20 or 30 people queuing up over on YouTube, just waiting to see see us, and definitely welcome back to everyone who's coming back from last week. And if you're a brand new subscriber to the channel, I appreciate you guys coming out. We're here today to answer any questions you might have. And, I really wanted to actually bring Calvin on today because he's someone who has been doing the Uber and Lyft game for a while. And obviously his channel, I think, is actually the most popular YouTube channel out there, at least if you go by subscriber count. I think he's done a lot of great content about sort of, taking your game to the next level, what you can do to build a business and, sort of do things on top of rideshare. And I know that there are a lot of drivers out there right now. There's not a ton of action on Uber and Lyft. So what are those other options that you might have? So Calvin, do you want to say hi? Give yourself a short intro.
Yeah. This is actually my first time actually being live. Period. I've never gone live on my channel. I'm reading here on your thing. What's going on, Dennis Torres? I can see that. Jamie Brent. I can see that going on there. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think you are coming in loud and clear. So hopefully, usually the audience will let us know if they're having issues hearing you. I'll put a couple of these live chats up on the screen,
Okay.
and feel free to. I think
Yeah,
if
just
any
trying to
viewer,
shout out a couple people there.
yeah, do it. Go for it.
Jamie
Run with it.
Grant, Dennis Torres, and whoever else may come. But this is my first time actually going live. So if it's gonna look a little weird because my camera is here, but I'm looking at the screen trying to make sure that I'm catching up with anything that's going on as I continue to talk to you. Linda Sue Sadler welcomes me. Just Witness. Sam's what's going on. So yeah, let's looks like we're ready to go here.
Yeah, I think we're looking pretty good. We're already up to over 100 people. I think we've got a bunch watching on YouTube right now. And then we do simulcast this to LinkedIn, Facebook page, and also Twitter. So I'm sharing a couple comments right now from Periscope. Everyone says loud and clear. So I think I saw Jay Crater from the Rideshare Guy, one of our senior contributors. He's there in the comments. Appreciate you
Yeah, I saw that. I
joining,
saw that.
Jay. I know that he's been sort of our number one guy, when it comes to all of these unemployment issues. So he'll also be there in the YouTube live, for as long as he can, answering any questions.
Okay.
And I think the first thing I want to actually turn this over to you, Calvin, and just give us sort of
Yeah.
a quick update on what's been going on with you. I know that you're still hearing from some Uber and Lyft drivers. What's going on with you personally, and what have you been seeing or trying to help out your audience with?
Well, yeah. Well, let's go back. So the first thing I did was took a break because, for those that watched my last video, my wife and I built our home.
Yeah,
So
congrats on that.
yeah, we was able to build our dream home. So I've just kind of been getting used to that. Been doing a lot of behind the scenes stuff, talking to people that are emailing me. A couple people who have my personal phone number, giving with text messages. Really trying to help drivers out because right now no one expected something like this to happen. So I did that video saying that I was thinking that autonomous driving, right, and automation was going to start declining some of the revenue with drivers, but
Yeah.
never did I think that something like COVID-19 would impact them. So on this call, I am 100% here to help provide some resources for some of the people that absolutely need it, like right now.
Yeah.
They need it right now. So as we go through, I got some resources that I have in my Evernote. You guys know I love Evernote. So I got some resources that I want to share with them. You may have shared some earlier in some of your other videos, but definitely some things that I want to share with them that I think would help because it's time. It's time to come together right now, right?
Yeah.
This is um, obviously I'm not a politician or anything, so we're not going to be talking about nonpartisan and all of that stuff. But it doesn't matter if you're a driver for Lyft, if you're a driver for Uber. It doesn't matter if you watch my channel, Harry's channel. It's really time to come together right now as drivers to help some of these people out here because this is a little bit crazy right now.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's well said. And frankly, one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on is because you are very, I guess I would say thoughtful, analytical, and you come prepared. You don't mess around. You've got your Evernote ready. You've got your links ready. We'll get those
Yeah,
out. And I like that too, because I want to bring on, I've been going live every single week. And, while
yeah,
I still think it's helpful every week, I think having a different perspective has been great. So last week we had Dustin as driving on. I think next week we're going to try to have Jay on. I haven't told Jay yet, but Jay, just FYI, if you're watching, you're going to be on here pretty soon.
it's gonna be on.
And definitely looks like, even though I know you've slowed down the pace of your videos, you've still got a lot of fans in the live chat right now, especially on
Yeah, that's
YouTube. So
good.
I know they appreciate getting access to you and, sort of mentioning that. I do have a question here from Delbert. He's on Twitter.
Sure,
He
sure.
says, will you guys be demonetized for mentioning the COVID-19? And Calvin, I don't know if you followed all of the sort of advertisers and how they're treating COVID-19, but they don't really like you saying it on YouTube. You can actually get
Yeah,
demonetized if you use it in the title and say it too many times, right?
yeah. That's and they're correct. I mean, and I won't say it anymore for you, Harry, in case you want to monetize this because we're business owners. But yeah, that's going on. And the reason that is because there's so much misinformation out there. And so what's going on is the social media platforms have literally started locking down that particular keyword phrase, that one and the other one.
Yeah.
You're right. They've done that because there's so much misinformation out there. They want to be able to take control of the platform so that they're not responsible for the misinformation. And so the best way to do that is to actually, anytime you mention it, I have Grammarly and I have another program to where you even type the word in, even like on Canva, when I'm
Mm-hmm.
creating, images, it'll literally pop up a message that
Mm.
says, hey, go to, check it out at the CDC or whatever. And so that's what
Yeah.
they're just trying to cut down on the misinformation. And I can understand that.
Yeah.
I can understand that.
Definitely makes sense. Well, I see we've got some interesting questions coming in. Impaler over on YouTube asks if anyone has gotten unemployment insurance yet. And I haven't heard that any Uber and Lyft drivers have actually gotten unemployment insurance as part of the new package. I did start seeing, we
Right.
got a couple emails earlier today from readers who are getting their $1,200 stimulus check. I don't know, have you heard from anyone that's actually gotten, I know it's confusing, right? We can start with the $1,200 stimulus that almost everyone is going to be, kind of basically getting. Have you
Yeah.
heard from any people if they've gotten that one, Calvin?
I've heard there's some checks that are going out. They started last week. Some people that were getting the economic impact payments is what
Mm.
they call the stimulus checks. There's actually six that we need to pay attention to, especially us as drivers or
Yeah.
former drivers even, because we're classified as self-employed for the most part, right? And so the six things that I'm gonna discuss here, which is up under three categories, which is protections, programs, and paychecks, right? And
Mm.
so there's the Paycheck Protection Program, right, which is PPP, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, which is the EIDL loans, the Employee Leave Provisions. We're going to talk about that. Unemployment insurance provisions. Then there's protections for renters and homeowners, which I definitely want to get into. And then, of course, economic impact stimulus checks. But they have started going out. They started landing last week.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, because my wife and I own separate businesses outside of what the Simple Driver. That's a
Hmm.
totally different business, but I own other businesses. And so I've actually been on the phone with my lender, with my banking institution, Bank of America, and I'll tell you guys about that. And I also put a phone call in, and I'm going to give you guys the number and the email address for those of you who may have put in like SBA loans for the disaster loan. I actually have the 800 number, and I have the email address. And I'm going to tell you how you need to actually send that
Cool.
email over to them. But yeah, they have started hitting, and I think everyone's supposed to have them per the government, what they're saying, by the 16th. So we got 2 more days. If you haven't gotten yours, look within the next 2 days.
Yeah, actually, this is sort of reassuring, because I guess I will say that, I'm sharing some comments right now on the screen. Kush Strain says he got 1,000 from the SBA EIDL, which is Economic Injury Disaster Loan, which actually could turn into a grant for a lot of people. And this was the one that we actually did a video on Monday or Sunday. I don't know, the days are flying together. I don't even know what day today is, but it was $10,000 at first. And then they announced that it's only going to be $1,000 per employee. And I saw an email from the SBA today that sort of officially confirmed that, even though, I think some people have been talking about that for a while. And I've heard from a few drivers now that have gotten that one. So if you guys haven't applied for the EIDL grant, I think that's definitely one. We've got a video on our channel. I'll go ahead and share a link to that right now. But that's definitely one that I think drivers should be applying to. It looks like you can get $1,000 loan from that turns into a grant. So that's one that I myself applied for.
There's something that, and if you haven't done this, there's something that goes extra with this, because I have some inside connections, right? So for those of you who filled out the EIDL, right, to get that disaster loan, if you just filled it out online and submitted, and that's all you did, that's not all. That's not the end of it. So Harry, did you just fill it out online and that was the end of it?
That's all I did. So it sounds like I did it wrong. What do I need to do?
Yeah. So let me hold on. Let me give you. So this is mine here. So along with that, and maybe I'll have to email you, Harry, and maybe we can provide a link or something like that to where you guys can go somewhere and get this information. But along with that, there's 3 other forms, well, 4 that you should have, to be honest. So there is the U.S. Small Business Administration supporting information that needs to go with that, and it's actually on their site. But you have to fill this one out. So, and you guys have seen me do this before, so we're family. So I'm eating here, and I'm gonna be drinking some stuff. But understand this. But for what I did with the Simple Driver here for this one, and so I'm gonna show you guys, because it's not about hiding stuff and all that right now. You guys need help. But this form here, let me come in front of the camera.
Sure.
But this form here, let me turn down my camera. We'll turn this down so you can see it.
That looks good right there.
Okay. So this form here, this one has. I'll maybe get you a link to where this is, but this has to be filled out. Let me put it up here and submit it.
Yeah.
Okay. And you can see here the income that I put on there from the Simple Driver on there, right? So this one, you have to have I won't show you this one because it's got my information, but you have to have a 4506T, which is the request for the transcript of a tax return. So 4506T also needs to be submitted with that application, and also you need to have a schedule of liabilities. So let me show you what that one looks like. Okay, schedule liabilities. All right, now let me turn this back up and come back in front of the camera so we can get back to what I'm saying here. Hopefully that helped out. So that one, definitely. And then so those 3 items here, schedule of liabilities, 4506T, and then this one here, which is the disaster loan information, this additional information here. And then there needs to be a cover letter. And that cover letter needs to read, where's my cover letter? I'm gonna get
this
that.
Is what you submitted for the EIDL, right? The $1,000
yes.
grant.
There's a cover letter. I'll find that for you, but the cover letter has to have your, because when you fill all this stuff out, they give you a loan application number. Let me go in here to my desktop here, because this is important for you guys. Okay, Harry got me on here, and I want to help. So 4506.
We appreciate it. See, this is why we have you, because you know all the details.
Okay, you need to have your disaster. They're going to give you an application number once it's submitted, right? Harry, you probably have yours. But then you also, along with this, you need to have a cover letter. Okay, that cover letter needs to read, and I can't remember the exact wording because I actually had someone who works for loan processing and stuff like that help me out. But it basically says, if you're denied for this actual loan,
Mm-hmm.
which if you get denied, that's the government has 3 days to actually give you, what I'm saying, up to $10,000, which is that's the grant. So this
Yeah.
is the loan. If you
Yeah.
get denied, that's when you get the grant. And
Yeah.
so that cover letter says, hey, I'm actually, I want the advanced, grant money. Okay, and I'll get the right lingo for it, but you have to have that. And on your
Yeah.
4506T, please don't, scan that and give like a digital signature because by law, any 4506T form that's filled out has to be hand signed.
Got
It's
it.
got to be hand signed. So this is something that you have to print out and you have to, hand sign it. Okay.
Got it.
Um,
So
but
let me, while you look that up, I'm going to answer a couple questions here. Kush says, no luck with the PPP. Major banks want business account. We actually have a video from Jay that we're going to be releasing tomorrow. A lot of the fintech banks are actually now allowing you to apply for the PPP loan without having a business account or a prior banking relationship with them. So like I have a business checking with Chase. And I know
yeah,
Calvin, I think you mentioned you have an account with Bank of
with Bank of
America.
America.
So you probably applied for the PPP loan through them. I applied through Chase. And if you don't have one, you can kind of imagine it's pretty tough to set up right now, but there are a bunch of banks. So stay tuned for that video tomorrow because I know we're going to include a list of fintech banks, or you can also Google it. But if you want that, if you
Yeah,
don't mind waiting till tomorrow
another good
morning,
place for
we have
them
a.
for those that don't have, if you don't have a national banking account, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing business and you have a PayPal account, PayPal
Yeah.
is also. I literally just got. I think it was the last 24 or 48 hours. I got an
Nice.
email from PayPal about because they're now doing PPP as well. So, and my wife also got it, which is great because they already have all your information on file. And so they literally send you that email, and then you could go and fill out that application or go log in, and they have it up at the top. It'll be up there, so you can do that through your PayPal account as well.
Nice, nice. And, the other thing that I want to mention too, I saw this comment from Ed the Shred, which I like that name, Ed, first of all. And he says that just announced that they're running out of SBA grant money. And, I think right now, the thing to keep in mind is this program is huge. There's a lot
Yep.
going on, and we
Yep.
really don't know for sure. So there's been stories, I said, okay, they asked for 350, or, there's been loans requested for 350 billion, and there's only, let's say, 50 billion, right? And so it seems like you're not going to get it. But what I would say is that, the downside for a lot of these applications is very low. Some of them might take 10 or 20 minutes, some of them might take an hour, but the upside is really high. And, so I think like with the $10,000 EIDL, at first we thought it would be $10,000. Now it's
Yep.
only 1,000. Okay, whatever. It was still a quick, short application for most people, and you're
Yep.
going to get 1,000, right? With the SBA grant money, maybe it's, there's not enough right now, but Congress may easily go in there and extend or, add money to the pot. We really just don't know. So that's why I think in all these situations, we're not paying money, and obviously a lot of us have time right now in our hands. So I don't think there's huge downside in basically applying for
Yep.
anything that might be relevant to you as a driver and a business owner.
Yeah, so I'm reading this stuff as I'm listening to you. There's a lot of people out here saying, what is PPP? And we got some people helping answer that stuff. That's fantastic. Um, and I saw someone ask up there earlier that if you're self-employed and you don't have any employees, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just need to put one,
Yeah.
right? You put one, okay? That's good. And then your income, whatever you file your taxes for, your income for 12 months, you need to obviously divide that by 12, and that's your monthly. And then you take that number and you multiply it by 2.5.
Yeah.
That's your monthly when you're doing the paycheck protection program. That's your monthly that they're asking for. So whatever that monthly number is times 2.5.
Yeah. And I guess big time, he says, I'm new here. What is PPP? So I think that, we've kind of, basically right now, as Calvin mentioned at the top, there's 5 or 6 different programs out there for drivers. And we sort of, gave a quick overview of them. But we've also got videos on my channel that sort of in-depth explain each one of those. But basically, drivers kind of have the option to apply for, almost all of these. So William says, pretty sure this is not true. I can assure you it's true.
Yeah, it's true. The two that you need to worry about, filling out is the Paycheck Protection Program. That's what the PPP is. Paycheck Protection Program, and the EIDL loan, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. Those are the two that you need to definitely pay attention to. But I do want to talk about some of these other stuff that's going on. So employee leave, provisions and stuff like that. That's not gonna, unless you have some of you out there who had something else that you were doing outside of Uber. But let's talk about protections for renters and homeowners.
Okay, what do we got there?
Right. So, and you have to look up in your state because I don't want to be wrong, but certain states have it to where you cannot get evicted right now during this pandemic.
Yeah.
So if you can't meet your obligation for paying your rent, in certain states, they can't evict you. There's got to be a whole process and stuff like that or whatever. But, so that's the protections for renters. For homeowners, that are listening right now, you need to call your mortgage company like tomorrow, all right? Yeah. And you need to get on the phone with them, and you need to discuss with them what options do they have for forbearance.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what? Actually, I will say, Calvin, because I went on for my home and an investment property that I have, and actually, I think a lot of the banks are now allowing you to go online and request 3 months of loan forgiveness, and so you don't even need to call them. You can actually do it online for a lot of places, and so I got instantly approved for a 3-month, basically, I guess you would call it, wait. I don't have to pay my bills for 3 months. So if I have a renter in there, it's nice because if they're having financial troubles, then now, I don't have to force them to pay. So definitely some options for renters and homeowners, like you said.
Yeah. So like what Harry just said, if you guys have that if you log into your bank and that's up there, take advantage of it. It doesn't mess your credit up or anything like that, especially if you talk to them specifically and ask them for a forbearance. Yeah. While you're in forbearance, it doesn't report to your credit or anything. So let's just say, you got $900, mortgage or something like that. That's $2,700 in your pocket that you absolutely need. So when you start taking the stimulus, money, and while you're waiting on that, you can go into forbearance, right? And so now you got an extra $2,700 that you don't have to be responsible for or try to come up with over, 90-day period. Yeah. While you're trying to figure other stuff out, while you're waiting on maybe a PPP approval, right, or the economic injury disaster loan. So, all important stuff, man. All important stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And I did want to share a couple of these comments here. Jen says, I'm a person that loves step-by-step instructions for this loan grant. Can anyone provide these? Pretty please. So fortunately, if you look at the link, I'll share it again. We did a step-by-step EIDL video, basically, that Jay released the other day. And then tomorrow, we have a step-by-step PPP loan video. There's a few other... Yeah, there's a few other videos out there on YouTube, but I mean, I do feel for a lot of, everyone right now, because it is confusing, I will say, right? And, the tough part is that not a lot of money is coming into drivers' hands right now. So I guess, to take a quick pause from all of these programs, and some people's heads might be hurting for a second, I will say the services, as you guys have, heard me talk about before, food delivery is popular right now. I think Instacart is probably the one service where we're actually hearing and seeing from drivers that they're making sort of all-time highs. And, if you, I think the safest thing to do right now is probably stay at home. But if you're someone who does need money, who does need to work, I think food delivery, just from a sort of safety perspective, is pretty safe. Grocery delivery, I mean, you're definitely taking a little more risk because, there's going to be lots of people in the grocery stores at times. And, hopefully everyone's wearing a mask these days, but not all the time. But I will say, like we just shared a screenshot in the last video that we did about an Instacart shopper who made $2,000 last week. And I don't think I've ever seen that on Instacart. So, definitely, obviously, your numbers will vary, of course, depending on when and where you drive and how good you are, frankly.
Well, yeah, to piggyback on that as well, like I have a son who's 22, who was earning money on the side, and he was actually doing Uber Eats. And when he was out there, he was doing $200+ a day. And I've talked to several people who have
This was recently?
Yeah. This was like within the last week and a half, 2 weeks.
Nice.
Now that things are getting a little bit hectic, like you said, he's like, okay, yeah, it's a little bit nerve-wracking right now. But if it's something that you have to do in order to take care of your family, definitely. Because think about it, people are at home and they're not coming out, and so, but they are hungry. And I can tell you right now, as I sit here and share with you guys, this is hash browns, eggs, and or tortilla, right? Because, we have a lot of, I don't want to say non-perishable items in the house or whatever, but we got to start eating some of these tortillas because the bread has been gone right now. So now we're starting to move to tortillas because, obviously we get a little bit more mileage out of that. But yeah, if you got to do it, going to go deliver food is going to be something that you're going to be able to earn a lot more money in right now versus taking the risk of someone being in your cabin, and every person that gets in the vehicle is a threat to your life. That's pretty nerve-wracking.
Yeah, definitely. So Driver Man says food delivery is at new highs. That's true. Grubhub and DoorDash have been popping these last few weeks, making more money in less hours.
True.
Christian says, I've been doing Instacart, averaging above $30 an hour most days. I'm making more money than I ever did with Uber and Lyft in my area. So definitely, I think that these comments, sort of echo what we've been seeing. It's not to say that it's all, like you said, Calvin, right? It's not all roses, and money, right? There is some, like actual safety risk, I would say, with these services. And, you have I saw that there was an Instacart strike the other week. So obviously there's certain workers, who probably feel that they're not making enough, that it's not safe. But at the same time, I think that we're here to sort of educate you about the reality and kind of just understand the risk and if that's worth it for your situation. I like the way Lon put it. He said, obviously no one wants to leave home. And I think that that's sort of the situation, no one wants to leave home. Yeah. But if you're waiting on the unemployment, if you're waiting on one of these PPPs or loans, then you don't have much that you can do. And I also want to highlight this comment because Calvin, I think you might have a couple thoughts. Dan says there's a delay in the background check for Instacart due to DMV offices and courts being closed. And the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because I've told a lot of people, and I think you have done very similar content in the past, that you sort of want to prepare for the worst case, right? You want to have diversification, right? Whether you're driving for Uber, you're driving for Lyft, you throw a delivery service in there so that, if something happens on Uber, you can drive for Lyft. Or if something happens with your car, you can use someone else's car and do delivery, right? You want to have these backup plans in place before you need them, because when you need them, it's too late. And now everyone wants to sign up for Instacart. And DoorDash has waiting lists in certain cities. So I don't know. What do you think about that?
Well, this is going to be I don't want it to be a plug, but it's just real conversation that we're having right now. I've always on my channel coached and delivered content to people to tell you to have multiple streams of income.
Yeah.
And right now, I used to always get flack like, the website driver and some mean stuff, man. People are out there, they can get mean. But here's the deal now. Here's where the reality of this comes in now. The people that listened to me, right, and actually started, their website and actually started creating income on the side, passive income, are not in a bad situation. Well, some of them are, but they're not in as bad a situation as most people. And the reason I'm saying that is you think about everything right now. Everything right now is being done digitally for the most part. The world is moving on a digital platform, and that's either done through either video, images, text, or audio, right? And so if you're not able to take advantage of one of those elements of creating content and creating some type of way to earn money, you're suffering. Like, my lifestyle didn't change, thank God. It didn't. It's a blessing. But, for those that aren't in this situation, like even yourself, Harry, that we work from home and, I create my money from here at this desk. I want this for many, many people. And to be honest with you, like on my channel, I have, and I think it may be the last video, I can't remember right now, but if you go to my channel, youtube.com/The Simple Driver, there's a video on there where I literally show you how the money that I earn. It's over 10 grand a month. Mm-hmm. But the part that's important about that video is not the money. It's what I'm showing you is how I earn the money. It's because it's spread out across multiple streams of income. And just the fact that I'm showing you how to create a website, you don't have to use that for referrals. Referrals are out now, right? Nobody's getting referrals or anything like that. So it's not about that. But what it is about is being able to take your own intellectual property and actually use that to actually build yourself a brand and a business. Even if you don't build yourself a brand and a business, the fact that you know how to actually build a website. Everybody wants websites and everybody is on the web right now. You can easily be charging people $400 or $500 to build them a website. I literally get emails every day of people saying, thank you for showing me how to, create a website, because I'm now earning an extra $2,000-$3,000 a month building websites. Yeah. That is a skill set that you have now. And I gave that to people for free. Right. So it's stuff like that. Here's what's important right now, Harry. I was watching TV today and they said that life is what we knew it prior to, that magical word that we don't want to say is over, right? Yeah. We're looking at doing social distancing for like going into like 2022. I didn't say that. That's literally prime time breaking news today from someone who wrote something in Harvard Digest. Okay. What are drivers going to do? I don't even know what Uber's going to do right now. And Harry, you've had contact with Uber and some. We probably had some people that we can contact, but they're not even taking emails from me right now, whatever. Because you know why? They have a business model that requires people to have social interaction and be in close quarters. They don't even know what this looks like for the next couple of months. So it's important now that you start doing something that will take you away from having to depend on the Uber platform, because we have no idea where rideshare is going right now. The eat part of it, right? Food delivery is great, but the rideshare part of it, I have no idea where that's going. Yeah. And so you have to protect yourself, man.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And I think that you definitely are getting I shared a couple of these comments on the screen. John says, preach it, Calvin. And I saw another one that I liked. I think Dan had one, don't put all your eggs in one basket. So definitely, I think we have a lot of people agreeing and, sort of on the same page. And I mean, I think you brought up a good question, though, is that, we don't know how long this is going to last. Some people are saying it's going to last a very, very long time, until 2022. And I guess I know one thing I do know is that I have no idea when or how long it's going to go on. That's all I know right now.
The thing about that too, Harry, is because I like to read all the comments here, and I was going through them, but who is it? Thomas Bone says like BS, like that will never happen. So Thomas, when I say 2022 and social distancing, I don't mean the economy being continued to be shut down the way it is now. We will start coming back online, but what I mean by it's going to be forever changed is it's going to come online, and there will be protocols in place. The way you just are not going to be probably able to go to the Cheesecake Factory and the tables be right next to each other. There's going to be distancing of these tables, so they may start opening the economy back up, but it won't be the same as what we knew it. But prior to that magical word, my daughter's homeschooled. She's been homeschooled for the last 2 years, and she's fifth grade, and we were literally preparing her for, in Georgia, they have the milestone test, Harry. Mm-hmm. She didn't even get the milestone test. They literally skipped that and just went by the grades that she had, and she's literally going to sixth grade. Stuff like that, everything is changing. The way what you knew it's done, right? We have to start looking at how is school now going to operate with such close quarters and something that needs to be social when you're talking about classrooms with kids inside of that classrooms and stuff like that. I have no idea where this is going. And
Yeah.
so we need to start thinking about that as, husbands, wives, right? Daughters, sons, but we also need to start thinking about that as self-employed business owners.
Yeah.
What do we need to start doing right now? What do we need to put in place right now in case, rideshare disappears?
Yeah, no, I think that's actually, we're getting a lot of comments right now right along these lines. So I'm going to share a couple of them. Lon says, rideshare is not over. They're temporarily out of it, but we will be back! Exclamation point.
That's hey, that's good stuff. I mean,
in my opinion, Brandon says, in my opinion, rideshare will be back and big. It's the greatest car transportation concept ever created. So, I think it's definitely, I think important. I'm an optimist, and I don't know what you are, Calvin. You can let me know in a second. But
I got a lot of money in rideshare. Why would I not want it to come back?
No, that's the thing. I think that, and so I'm going to put this question to the audience right now. So I think we're talking about the fact that I think a lot of people are optimistic that things are going to come back. But what I want to know is, what are you guys doing? What do you think is going to happen in the interim, right? As if or when things start getting back to normal, do you think that, within 6 months, there's going to be the same demand as before? Do you think it's going to take 1, 2, 3 years? Because all of these things really affect you guys as drivers, right? And I think that's sort of what you're speaking to, Calvin. If it takes 2 years to get back to the same levels of demand, and think about all the millions of unemployed people out there that are going to be flooding to go drive with Uber and Lyft and sign up for food delivery services, I think that you guys have to understand, even if these services start coming back, it may not be the same as what it was right before. So, I'll share. Marie says DoorDash has been a lifesaver, but I also see a couple, where were these comments? I saw some people were having trouble signing up with services, sort of like we talked about. So definitely, I'll see what the comments start saying. I want to take a quick halftime break and just say, we've got 140 people watching live right now. So if you guys are on YouTube, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up if you don't mind. You might have to close out of the live chat, so don't worry, you won't miss anything. Take a break, give this video a thumbs up. We only had 30 or 40 likes, so I think everyone is just commenting, chatting, watching TV.
No, that's good. It's good stuff, man. Oh man,
Yeah, and I will say too, if you guys haven't subscribed to Calvin's channel, The Simple Driver, definitely check that out. He's got a lot of evergreen content up there that I think will help with a lot of these issues we are discussing. And like I said, I've been doing these weekly live streams, so if you guys haven't subscribed yet, definitely do that. And let me know who you want to see next week, because I reached out to Calvin and he was very nice. I think you immediately texted me back and said yes, or when we chatted, you said that you were in. So I really appreciate that. And I think that we've got a bunch of people. Let's see, what are we at? We got almost a couple hundred people watching live across all the platforms. So Walt says, how am I seeing this on Twitter? So we're streaming live right now to YouTube, Twitter, Facebook page, and LinkedIn. So the quadfecta. But yeah, the main cast is on YouTube, Walt. But that's sort of where most of the chatting and action is going on.
I want to send a shout out, right? Because you're hey, listen, everybody right now, even the people like what I call my tribe, make sure you subscribe to Harry. Here's why, right? I do a lot of talking to Harry behind the scenes. And like I said, he reached out yesterday, I should say. And he was the guy able to pull me. I hadn't been on Skype in years, so I had to go figure out your Skype account and do all kind of stuff or whatever, and do some test stuff with him or whatever. And I've never gone live on my channel.
Yeah.
And right, so this is the person that was able to get me to go live so that I can actually talk to you guys and whatnot. And you know what? He's providing a ton of good content over on his channel and whatnot. I have other stuff that I'm doing. You guys know that from my channel. I got other businesses and stuff that I run. So I'm all over the place. But if you need up-to-date, real-time information, and I'm talking about not only on his YouTube channel, but on his website, therideshareguy.com. You need to be reading the posts that they create. Great content over there. So I just want to say shout out to you, Harry, on that, because it's really, really good what you're doing.
All right, appreciate that, Calvin. And Virginia, I think your sermon convinced her. She wants to know where your websites are, so I'm going to leave that.
SimpleDriver.com.
Yep, I
Virginia.
just put that into the chat right now, so you guys can go check that out. Lon wants to know what's Skype, and don't worry, I'm working on the software that I use. It's called Ecamm Live, and I saw a post that said they're working on getting a Zoom integration. So I think that's what all the cool kids are using these days. So a couple answers to the questions. Jay says, is it true that there will be a new master driver course from Rideshare Guy? Yes, Jay, but it's on pause right now since no one's really driving too much right now, but it's coming, and that's at MaximumRidesharingProfits.com. I'll leave a link to that too. Brandon said, I like this comment from Brandon. He says, everyone needs to understand that almost every industry is hurting bad right now. Stores will close down, airlines, etc., but we will rebound. And I like that. I think that's a good way to look at it. I think the unknown part is that we just won't know how long it's going to take. And so I think that's what, we want to hear from you guys right now is like, what are you guys doing in the meantime? How are you preparing, or what are you thinking about? And, kind of what we can do there. ZJ says, post-virus world will negatively impact public transportation and positively impact rideshare, which I think makes a lot of sense. We actually did a little informal poll last week, Calvin, and we asked drivers basically if they would, if they had to take a ride right now, would they rather hop on a public bus, or the back of an Uber and Lyft? And I don't know, maybe because everyone's an Uber or Lyft driver, they said Uber or Lyft, but it was pretty overwhelming.
Right. I think what we're discussing here is, and I agree. For everyone who's optimistic, right, and saying we're going to be back and better than ever, and I 100% I believe that, right. We can survive the Spanish flu and bird flu and all that stuff. We'll be back. But the thing is, I don't think we will be there until they get a vaccine. And from what I understand, obviously I'm not an expert. I'm just trying to consume the information that I need to run my personal household and businesses. And so from what I understand, we're a long way away from that. We're mid 2021 to 2022 before we even have a vaccine.
Yeah.
And so that's the part that worries me, because what does our economy look like when it comes to running these businesses that have to have close quarters action in order to run when there's, no vaccine and there's, asymptomatic individuals and all that stuff. I just, if you can do something to get online to start creating a brand and a business, now is the time to do it. I urge you to do it right now.
And I guess I am surprised. I shared a bunch of the comments on the screen, sort of what people are saying about rideshare and when they think it'll come back. And definitely seems like overwhelmingly, I saw a lot of comments that said, it's going to be back bigger and stronger, better than ever, better option than public transit. I'm happy. It's sort of like a lot of the people that maybe aren't driving right now are ready to come back when it is back. So definitely interesting. And I saw Real Rideshare Stories is on here. Hey, Real Rideshare. I know they've got a good channel over on YouTube that you can check out. And I see this question come in from Walt over on Twitter. And he wants to know, have drivers' views on AB5 changed since the impact of COVID-19? And for those of you who don't know, AB5 was basically put into law at the beginning of the year, January 1st in California, and it would make all drivers employees. Uber and Lyft haven't exactly followed that, but it is interesting because if drivers were employees right now, they would get unemployment insurance and they would get sick pay and a lot of the issues that they're having right now. What do you think? Do you think, Calvin, drivers' views have changed, or is it still a little too early to tell? And I'll also I'll put that question out to the audience, so while you and I discuss, you guys can feel free to chime in if your view has changed on becoming an employee, because of COVID-19, or, maybe it's more, you feel more strongly that you should be an employee or less. Let us know in the comments. And Calvin, take it away.
No, I think it still is a little bit too early to tell right now, but I do want to provide some information because I kind of thought that this question would come up. And,
you're ready as always.
If that happens, right? If that happens and you are deemed an employee, right, and this carries on, right? So now you need to look at, is there going to be unemployment assistance, right? Is that going to kick in? And if that does kick in, pay attention, everybody. The Department of Labor, there's three things going on with unemployment assistance. Okay. Number one is the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance PUA program. All right. That's number one. And that provides unemployment assistance to individuals who are self employed seeking part time employment.
Right.
That's important. Number two is the Pandemic Emergency Unemployment Compensation PEUC program, and that extends unemployment benefits up to 13 weeks and covers those who have already exhausted their unemployment benefits. Important. Number three, the Federal Pandemic Unemployment Compensation Program, and that is the FPUC. And that provides additional $600 per week to individuals who are collecting regular unemployment compensation.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that again.
So
it provides an additional $600 per week to individuals who are already collecting regular unemployment compensation.
Yeah. So what's really interesting, and actually I've been digging into this sort of in the past day or two, and Jay is on here on this chat, so I haven't talked to him about it, but I'm probably going to work with him on a video about this topic. He just mentioned actually, so Jay is in California, and where's his comment? I know he mentioned that where'd it go? He said, I received a notice that my unemployment benefits would be zero. I then filed an appeal. I may make a video about how to appeal. And so what's really interesting, Calvin, and I think I literally just figured this out this morning. I haven't really confirmed it yet or not, but I want to get your take. So if you're in a state that has deemed Uber and Lyft drivers employees, so that would be California, New York, or New Jersey. There have been official rulings like AB5 in California, and I think the unemployment offices in those other two states. In order to get unemployment in one of those three states, you can't apply for the PUA. Is that what it is? Is that the right?
The
The three
pandemic unemployment assistance.
pandemic
Yeah.
unemployment assistance, because that's for gig workers. But if you are in one of those three states, you're supposed to apply through the regular unemployment insurance offices because they're already viewing you as
Yep.
Uber and Lyft drivers. And where it gets super confusing is that Uber and Lyft aren't reporting your payout info to the unemployment offices because they don't want to pay it. And so what's normally supposed to take 1 or 2 weeks is taking months. And so I think that's why drivers like Jay may be getting statements back that says you were denied or it's zero and you need to appeal. And then in that case, you have to provide all of your pay statements. And so we're going to work on a video on this because I literally just figured this out this morning.
Yeah.
But I don't know, does that sound about right to you, Calvin?
It does. And, listen, they're not going to make this easy for you, man. I'm just going to be honest with you, right? There's a ton of money out here from the federal government for, small businesses. There's a ton of money out here for unemployment assistance. There's a ton of money out here regarding, forbearances and all this stuff or whatever, but they're not going to make it easy because if they make it easy, it's, there's going to be some people that's going to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Right. So they're trying to make sure that they do it in a way to where it gets rid of all the people that say, I don't want to fill out all that paperwork. I don't want to do this and do that or whatever. But you definitely got to do it. You got to press through it. This is the time right now. I'm going to maybe get with you, Harry, behind the scenes, y'all, and provide some of this information that I have on my Evernote. Give this over to Harry and because they do a great job.
We can leave the links in the show notes for this video. So if you guys are watching live right now, once we're done with the live stream, it turns into like an actual video on YouTube, and we'll have a bunch of these links that Calvin and I mentioned in the show notes there, so you guys can check that out. I did see, I like this question from Driver App London. I'm assuming it's a he or she asks, practical question, what do you think of driver protection partitions to prevent drivers from being infected? We have these in London at the moment. So I think this sort of goes to the fact that, hey, there are still drivers out there doing rides. And, as things get back to normal, if people are going to do Uber and Lyft and they're worried about safety issues, like they're probably thinking about what can they do to stay safe. What do you think about the partitions? You've probably seen them in, pictures and things like that, right, Calvin?
Yeah, I have. I have mixed feelings about it because, when there's a pandemic, there's two things that happens, right? There's people who suffer financially, they take a financial loss, and then there's people who gain. There's a financial gain to this as well. And so I have mixed feelings because there's some people providing things out there that are, really just trying to help you. But that partition, I don't think is one of them. And the reason being is this is a respiratory thing, right? They've already stated that this can be contracted through, just talking or breathing. And last time I checked, partitions don't have N95 filter. It doesn't have an N95 filter on it.
That's true. I mean, I guess you have to really, I've seen some drivers and some people sort of hacking things together. And I mean, I guess it probably can't hurt, but I think it may give you a false sense of security.
If somebody sneezes or whatever, you don't get as much of what's coming your way, right? But unless you have an N95,
And I mean, who knows? Maybe by that time, maybe masks will be more available, and there won't be. Right now, my wife is working at the hospital, so I know that there's a big shortage of the N95 mask, and even some of these others. Thomas says, bad idea. Maurice says, not going to work. William says, don't be afraid. Believe in Jesus. I think that might be a joke, but.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I don't know if that's a joke or not. Hold on one second, Harry. I had someone, and this is where serious blessings come in, right? Someone that was just a subscriber who actually sent me this, and this is a custom one that has the N95 filter inside of it.
Oh, nice.
You know what I mean? And so even on eBay, there's people who are selling stuff like this, and they're trying to get like $200 for this stuff or whatever, man. But it's rough out there right now.
But I do think that like as things start to get better, those types of masks are going to be a lot more available, and they will be. I think they are. Come down in price. So I think that those options will be there for drivers. But again, kind of like we're seeing with delivery right now, right? Like delivery is a good option right now, but everyone's flooding delivery and wants to work on delivery basically right now. So there's wait lists. Someone said there was a wait list for DoorDash in LA. I like this comment from Driverman. He says air recirculates inside of a car, so it would still get through. It's more of a mental thing to help the driver feel like they're doing at least something. And that probably, I guess now that I think about it, Calvin, you and I probably don't know too much about the medical aspect of this, so maybe we'll shut up right now. But I think I do like this. It's Ted.
I would like to bring something up because drivers are active, right? As far as what they want to. Hold on one second. I got to call. I got to take this 1 second. Hey, Mr. Whitby, let me call you right back. I'm right in the middle of a live. Okay. All right.
Don't worry, Mr. Whitley. We'll be done in 5 minutes, guys. So get your last questions in.
Here's what I want to say, right, to all the people that rock with me and follow me, and all the people that are rocking and following with the Rideshare guy, Harry, right? And people are quick. We're quick to do some, striking and this, that, and the third. But how about we put something together that Uber, because they'll provide you, all kind of stuff to put in your car that lights up, beacons and all that stuff. But how about seeing what they can do to take some of that money that they have to get their hands on some of these to send out to drivers? How about that?
Yeah, what can we do about that? I think we definitely, I know we've done a couple videos on Uber's, I guess, I would say lack of, sort of PPE and protections for drivers. I think it's taken them way too long. They're starting to send out some stuff to those in the cities, especially like New York, where it's a little worse than others, but hopefully they'll do this a lot faster. So I want to answer a couple other questions before we get off here, and let's see.
Alexis Rambo.
Yeah, welcome Alexis. So if you guys do have any questions that didn't get answered, definitely get them in there now, because we only got a few more minutes and Calvin's phone is blowing up, so he's got people to see and kids that probably need babysitting. So I appreciate you coming on, Calvin, as always. Let's see. Creekside says, that's so important to mention for unemployment insurance to file as an employee of Rideshare in California, not self-employed. I had no idea what to choose. That will save a lot of time. time. And yeah, I mean, like we said, like we're still figuring out a lot of this stuff too. And I will say, I haven't even heard, so if a driver is in one of those 3 states, California, New York, or New Jersey, and you file for unemployment as self-employed, I've heard that you're going to get denied. And, but also we haven't confirmed, like, I guess there's a difference between what people are saying, what you're supposed to do, and then like what the reality is, right? And so we're sort of trying to advise drivers like, hey, here's what you're supposed to do, but ultimately, like, I only care about the results, like what's going to get the $600 or the $1,200 into your bank account, right? And so those are sort of, as that starts to happen, I think we'll definitely be covering it and sort of basically telling you guys what you need to do there. So Michael says, wouldn't it just be easier to apply directly with Amazon? Yeah, probably. But, I think Amazon has actually even stopped hiring for Amazon Flex in some cities. They are hiring for warehouse and some other jobs. But
yeah, Amazon is going through, for those that are aware of it, but some of their major hubs have actually been affected by that magical word. And so, because they had planned on hiring over like 100,000 people. And then some of their major hubs, one of them was in Seattle, one in Texas. I can't remember what the other ones were, but some of the major hubs, they got hit, by that magical word. And they had to regroup.
The pandemic.
And, they had to regroup. So I don't know where they are as far as hiring right now, but when they get things back going, definitely look into that, because I think last time I checked, about 60% of retail is done by Amazon. So they're gonna need that help.
Yeah,
and remember,
there's definitely a lot
this is going to carry out.
And there's a lot of options. There's a lot of options there too. You don't have to work in the warehouse. They've got a bunch of new things that they're trying here in LA. They're actually testing a dark store. So it's sort of like, imagine going into a Whole Foods, but it's not open to the public. So it's only open to shoppers for Amazon. So you can imagine, they're all prepared. They're all, covered in PPE and gloves and things like that. So, I would much rather shop there than with a bunch of people who don't know what they're doing. And I think this is maybe a good time to wrap things up. As mentioned, if you guys are watching live right now, definitely appreciate if you subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. You might have to close out of the chat if you're on YouTube, and then you can bring it right back. Really appreciate everyone who joined. I've been doing these weekly lives and definitely answering as many questions as possible, bringing on different guests. Obviously today we had Calvin from the Simple Driver. Is there anything, Calvin? First, I just want to say thank you for coming on, because I know you are a busy man with kids and business and all of that, and I really appreciate you coming on. Because I guess this is my audience. Although, as you saw, there were a lot of your own fans maybe came from your channel to mine, or vice versa. So we have that going for us. And anything you want to mention to close things out?
Yeah, to close things out, I want to say that I don't want people to think that this is not real. I read a couple comments in here, like, oh, this is not real, or it's a hoax or something like that. Just like the pandemic is real, these assistance, these programs are real. So I read someone in there asked, has anyone ever gotten the loan or the PPP? I just got off the phone with my bank today. I can show you guys the call log, but my loan is being processed. Yeah. My PPP is being processed, and I had a direct call with my bank today. And the SBA said that I got on the phone with him, and I said I was going to provide you guys the number. So before I get off, I want to do that. But the applications that were put in on April 1st will be processed next week. So if you go back and you watch this video and those 3 pieces of paper that I was talking to you about, and I'll make sure that Harry knows what they are again, and the show notes and that cover letter, what it needs to say. But if you want to check on your SBA, the number is 1-800-659-2955. All right. And then you'll follow the prompts from there. So that's 1-800-659-2955. And then the email, if you need to check, when you email them, you need to put your loan application number as the subject line. And then you need to email that your request to just check on the status of your application to disaster customer service at sba.gov. That's disaster customer service at sba.gov.
Very
And
nice.
and in that, I want to just again thank you, Harry, for bringing me on to your channel, man, and bringing me on in front of your group of loyal followers. It's been a pleasure, man, and hopefully you guys got something out of it. It wasn't a waste of my time coming on here. I really want to help people out right now, man.
Yeah,
And
definitely. We all appreciate you coming on, and I appreciate each and every one of you that are watching right now, whether you're sitting at home, with your kids, or by yourself, or with your family, or out there still driving for Uber and Lyft, or delivering groceries or food. I think if no one has told you thank you yet today, I'm telling you thank you right now, and I know Calvin has saying the same. So I appreciate each and every one of you joining. I will be back next week. I saw someone requested Uberman, so maybe I'll have to reach out to Uberman. We'll see
yeah,
what
Randy,
special guest.
get Randy, see if we can get Randy on here, man, and see what he's going to say.
We'll see what special guest I can find for next week. I know we've got Jay in the queue and maybe Uberman and a couple others. So really appreciate you, Jay, staying on here and keeping everyone up to date and informed. Virginia, for all of your good comments, and everybody else. So until next time, everybody stay safe, and we'll see you guys out there on the road.